Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is the systemic approach for medicine. Just started a couple of days ago. This is probably the third video, and actually a systemic approach, I think what I mean is to really dissect medicine. On top of those, what you see, the diseases, the symptoms, the treatment, and beneath that, a little deeper or stratified in different layers to see what is the body and the disease and the well-being. So I started with the 4 major compounds which are invisible, and last time I talked about the carbohydrates. Just use the some examples to talk about the carbohydrates and the diseases associated with this carbohydrates metabolism. Of course, that include the most famous and notorious diabetes, but just briefly mentioned. I'm going to talk about later in detail if we get into the organ systems. Today I'm going to continue with these 4 major compounds. I finished talking about the nucleic acid, which is the coding of genetics, coding of our individual. Actually, as a matter of fact, 98% of genes of a human are pretty the same. Those 2% really the cause of different individuality and difference between everybody. And today I'm going to talk, and also last time I mentioned about the carbohydrates. Today I'm going to talk about the lipid metabolism and associated diseases. Of course, when I talk about lipid metabolism associated disease, I think first thing come to your mind probably hypercholesterolemia or hyperlipidemia, those kind of concepts, because it's so widely talked, it's so commonly seen. But if we dissect a little deeper, there are different kind of hyperlipidemia. In addition to the hypercholesterolemia, for example, the increase of apoprotein or increase of the triglyceride, increase of chylomicron, which is the preform of the lipid. When we eat the lipid from outside, the animal or the plant lipid or fat, it's in the digestive system and filled with the bile to break it down to make this small structures, microcells, and in the chylomicrons. So if that's the initial stage for lipid to go into body, if that stage that the chylomicron increase is also belong to the hyperlipidemia, and that person cannot absorb the lipid, actually cause a lot of hypoglycemia and essential symptoms. And on top of the notorious common hypercholesterolemia, there's another disease called hypertriglyceride, which means the true fat in the body storage form, this triglyceride. So if that is increased, usually it's regardless any of these special type of the hyperlipidemia, if it is not from the extrinsic cause, you eat too much fat or do not do exercise and too much sugar, there's some genetic forms. They are probably either autonomic recessive, autonomic recessive, autonomic dominant. So these are in the family, rather in the family with genes. And also, so this is about the lipid metabolism and associated diseases. I think it's not really systemically, but I just give you some example. So for this cholesterol, we talk about the cholesterol. Everybody is like, when we talk about the cholesterol, it's like the fear, the panic. It's like we're talking about the tiger or the lions. You fear the cholesterol. As a matter of fact, the cholesterol is sometimes do good to us. It can metabolize into part of the nerve, involved in the nerve insulation structure, myelin, for example, and also hormones, the estrogen, for example, and the progesterone, particular progesterone, they are from the cholesterol. And also in the maintain the integrity of individual cell, we have to have this cholesterol. So this is about the good part of cholesterol. But everything, if there's a good part, if it's too much or too less, it's not good, the extremes. So that's why if too much of cholesterol, beyond the liver capacity to metabolize it. So by the way, talk about the cholesterol, talk about the metabolites. The cholesterol is metabolized by the liver and also by the peripheral organs, and to break it down, to use for energy or to use for maintain the cell wall, cell membrane, or maintain the nerve integrity. So this is how to use it for this cholesterol. But if it is too much, beyond the liver capacity to use it, or there's some receptor deficit, which means cannot take the cholesterol, cannot transport the cholesterol to the liver for the metabolism. So these are the variety of the diseases associated with this hyperlipidemia, or increase the different kind of fat or lipid, like I mentioned, triglyceride, cholesterol, or microcells and chylomicrons, and also the lipoproteins. You probably heard of HDL, LDL, and etc. So these are the major, another form of the lipid existing in the blood. Okay, so their purpose is to transport the cholesterol back to the liver to clean the blood, so not as thick and greasy. So that's the purpose for this kind of lipoprotein. So you know the HDL, particular HDL is this. HDL function is to transport the cholesterol back to the liver to facilitate for the synthesis or for maintain the normal function. On the other hand, LDL actually is to transport the cholesterol to the blood. So this is why, to basically explain, you probably heard good cholesterol or bad cholesterol. So this is the basic idea, why it is good, why it is bad. Because the good one is to clean the blood, to carry the cholesterol from the blood to the liver to use it, so body can use those cholesterol for good, like recycle it. And on the other hand, the LDL is to break down those cholesterol carried to the blood. So that's why it is good and it's bad. So the extra this LDL in the blood make it greasy, and also so that cause a lot of problems, particularly the sclerosis or either arteriosclerosis disease. You probably heard coronary artery disease. That's the simple form for this atherosclerosis. So it means the blood vessel become thick because of probably the deposit of this extra lipid, plus the inflammation cells, plus the other chemicals. So that's make the blood vessel wall undergoing chronic inflammation process, getting thicker and getting stiffer, loss of the elasticity. So that's the consequences for this hyperlipidemia. And you also probably, in terms of the treatment, you probably heard a lot of statins. The statins is really actually to inhibit the key enzyme for the cholesterol synthesis. So that's very critical. So take statin. It's I think it's highly recommended for those who had obesity and also high LDL. Of course, there's a criteria to start the statins, but I think the statins for those who have high risk, really it's greatly benefited to decrease the cholesterol in general speaking. So this is about very here they are scattered. And just bring some information I already talked before, and I hope that it triggers your interest to search more. And for those who had family history or risk factors, talk to your physician to start statin. I'm going to stop here today, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.